My name is John Rogan, and you are watching Channel 200 UNIV Sports Network. Today, we'll start off our show with a segment on professional rules and regulations and how these need to be changed, added to, or implemented more to prevent injury or significantly reduce injury. Specifically, we will focus on return to play policies, safety equipment that is used in professional sports, and the implementation of these rules. I interviewed today a very influential local athlete whose thoughts on this matter agree with the implementation and improvement of new rules and regulations in professional sports. The first debate surrounding my topic is our return to play rules. A return to play violation is when a player is taken out of a game because of an injury and sent back into a game before he's healed and gets better. Right. And I also heard you play football.
Yep.
Yeah. So what about return to play rules? What do you think? Like if a player, like for the Casey Keenum incident, him getting hit in the head, like, you know, getting slammed to the ground, hitting the back of his head, keeping him in the game, losing the game for them. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think the biggest issue with football, especially compared to rugby, is just the amount of money that's involved in football. So especially if it happens like Case Keenum, the quarterback for the St. Louis Rams, when he was hurt, I mean, you're talking about a quarterback, you know, a starting quarterback in the NFL, it's only 32 of them. So if one of them gets hurt, that's a lot of money that you're potentially losing. So they kind of force him back on the field instead of checking their concussion protocols like they're supposed to.
Right. Although modern professional sports equipment used is very safe and has improved the protection of players over the years, there is still some work that needs to be done in increasing its protection. What about safety equipment, like the equipment they use? And especially also in rugby too, football and rugby.
Well, rugby you don't have any protective equipment.
Right. Do you think they should have protective equipment, or at least? Because I know some wear mouth guards and
you wear mouth guards. The scrum cap just really is to protect your ears from getting messed up. But I mean, the thing about putting pads on people is that suddenly you think you're invincible. So that's why you see like a lot of former football players come to rugby and split their foreheads open because they're so used to having the helmet and having their face protected that they try to use that as a weapon. Where rugby, it's kind of you're unprotected, so you have to safely take him down, both for your safety and his safety, because equally both people can be hurt. Right. But for like football, I know like their helmets are old. The technology behind the helmet's old, but it's a monopoly. So they have finally given players the ability to get their own helmets, which some of the newer helmets drastically reduce concussions. It's a big thing for them. Do you think they should replace the older helmets? Yeah, I mean, the NFL makes billions of dollars a year, and it's a non-profit, so they should be able to afford new helmets for 1,000 players. So they can. The last debate surrounding this topic is the fact that, one, rules that are currently in effect are not being implemented properly. Rules that are being added or changed are not being implemented properly as well, and officials like head coaches, referees, and injury spotters whose job it is to spot injuries and incidences like this are not doing their job. There's also rules that are already in place that are not being implemented properly or enforced more heavily. I think your best example for that is Cam Newton, and by also extension Ben Roethlisberger. They're just so big that whenever they get hit in the head or anything like that, where it's technically illegal, like the rule book says it's illegal, that they just kind of allow it, just because, and they say it's just because they're so big. That they're able to just take the hit, which I don't think is fair. Everybody should be equally protected. If you're gonna write the rules, they need to be applied for everybody equally. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, John. And that concludes our interview on Channel 200 UNIV.
Return to play rules should be stricter and should change because head coaches and officials keeping players in the game run the risk of injuring them further and increase the risk of ending their career and making their injury permanent. Safety equipment used might have new designs, but the technology behind it all is ancient and is faltering. This is because the billionaire companies making this equipment is just trying to save a buck and keep everything else the same, just to spend more on design and advertising. Lastly, rules are not being implemented correctly because people are becoming more and more lazy, and people whose job it is to spot an injury and take out the player and take action aren't doing that. Instead of being biased just because the player is on their least favorite team, does not mean they should be treated any differently. Well, that concludes this segment. I hope you all enjoyed and have a great day.